Hi, in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about why apple cider vinegar is a great tool in helping you to lose weight. I will also share some tips on how and when to use it for maximum benefit. Many of you have heard probably about apple cider vinegar and its many uses. It's been around for a very long time. Ancient Babylonians, Egyptians, even Civil War soldiers used apple cider vinegar for antibacterial and antiseptic qualities. Naturally, it fights germs, bacteria, molds, and viruses. In fact, before the production of diabetic prescription drugs, many people with diabetes used herbal teas and tonics that had apple cider vinegar added to control their diabetes. Several studies show that apple cider vinegar can lower your blood glucose, can decrease your insulin resistance, and often feelings of hunger. To lose weight, your blood sugar has to be within normal range, and you have to have a healthy insulin response. So let's review the first group of studies that I looked at on taking apple cider vinegar with food. 2 studies measured blood glucose when taken with vinegar during a meal, such as with pickled foods like sauerkraut or kimchi, taken along with starchy food. The insulin response when taken with those carbs was in the first study reduced by 20%, and in the second study that I reviewed, 20 to 35%. It's significant, right? Another study showed that when a pickled cucumber was eaten rather than a plain cucumber with a meal of bread, butter, and yogurt, the glycemic index, or the ability of that meal to increase blood sugar, was reduced by over 30%. So in this first group here, we see that taking pickled foods or taking something that is fermented while you are eating carbs can help to mitigate the spike of insulin and blood glucose. Important to know. If you don't use probiotic foods such as sauerkraut or kimchi, you might want to consider trying them. Now, when I've mentioned this to some people, they're like, they don't really have a taste for it. And that explains a lot to why their digestion may not be working optimally. We often crave what we eat the most of. And so when we introduce something new, we might not always like it immediately. And part of it is because when our gut is used to the same foods all the time, it creates cravings for those same foods. And that means that when you do introduce variety, your body does not initially know what to do with it. And sometimes it can feel uncomfortable. However, the more that you introduce different foods into your digestive system, you'll have more vim and vigor, okay? Try taking some of these fermented foods with meals. Okay, second group of studies looked at individuals with insulin resistance, also known as pre-diabetes, or with full-on type 2 diabetes. So they looked at all of these different groups. In the first study, people were given vinegar with water before they consumed a meal containing at least 80 grams of carbohydrate. The insulin-resistant individuals, so the people with prediabetes, their post-meal spike of insulin was reduced by 64%. So give some thought to maybe taking apple cider vinegar before a meal. Those with insulin sensitivity, it was reduced by 34%. by having this vinegar and water tonic before the meal. Published in the Journal of American Association of Diabetics, all groups were given a meal composed of a bagel, OJ, and butter. After the meal, they received, some of them, water with apple cider vinegar, and some of them a placebo, so that we could see, was there any difference? They checked on blood glucose levels 30 and 60 minutes after the meal. They found that those who had the apple cider vinegar significantly improved their insulin sensitivity. And that's what we want to have. We want to have control over our insulin. We don't want our insulin to just be running wild. Multiple studies, as we've discussed, talk about the changes that can occur in blood sugar and insulin sensitivity, as well as reductions in insulin spikes when apple cider vinegar is taken before, with, or after meals. So as promised, I'm now going to share with you the tonic recipe that I recommend that you start with. And you can make the decision if you want to try this before, during, or after meals, and what works best for you. A little disclaimer here, apple cider vinegar is not the be-all end-all, right? We know that it's a natural tool, but it is not a substitute for reducing your portions and looking at the macronutrients that you're eating and eating less processed food. Even though this is a natural and inexpensive way to increase your results, it is no guarantee that if you do apple cider vinegar but nothing else, that you will see any impact. Okay, so let's be realistic. The beginner's apple cider vinegar tonic that I recommend is a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I do like the raw organic version, and I usually recommend 2 to 4 ounces, and just make that warm water. And I do recommend that you can go up to 2 tablespoons, but I always like to start off with 1 and see how you respond to it. Some people have, no problem with apple cider vinegar. Others, it would be a lot to start with 2. If the taste seems unbearable to you, you could try some liquid stevia, or if you're not doing keto or anything like that, you could use a little bit of honey. But I would suggest that if you want the full benefit of it, don't use a sweetener, or use a stevia-based sweetener, which has no sugar in it and won't spike your insulin. So let's go to when. So a lot of times I will recommend to people that they try this tonic when they first wake up in the morning, and give it 30 minutes before you have anything else. And you can do this also before meals, 15 to 30 minutes before your first meal of the day, or you could select to do it during that one meal of the day where maybe you have higher carbs at lunch. So depending on what kind of eating style you're in, if you're doing keto, if you're doing a maintenance plan, you might be at 50 carbs or 100 carbs. So it just depends on the style that you eat. If you're not that interested in drinking it by itself, trying during the meals, where you can incorporate some probiotic rich foods such as kimchi, sauerkraut. There's so many pickled foods nowadays. If you go to like a farmer's market, you can find almost any vegetable pickled. And so that's a great option, because first of all, you don't have to cook it. It's ready. You can throw it on top of a salad. And you can also use apple cider vinegar as part of your dressing. If you like an oil and vinegar style, you can purchase Dr. Bragg's. They're available at most health food stores. That's the brand of apple cider vinegar that I like. But there is also a whole line of dressings that are made with apple cider vinegar. So that's another way you could get it in. And then after meals, I recommend this to clients often to say, if you have, you splurge on that carb-rich meal, maybe it's your day on the weekend where you allow yourself a bit more carbs, you could use this tonic after that meal to help bring the blood glucose down a little bit quicker. Works also for alcohol consumption, same idea. And so when you lower your blood sugar like that after, having additional carbs or some alcohol, let's say, you can get back on track much more quickly and not succumb to cravings that come later. Because I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you ever have a pizza or have something you don't normally have, you kind of feel hungry for that same thing a few hours later. It's like I said, the gut remembers and it wants more. So by helping it with the apple cider vinegar, you can sometimes take away that craving that will come after a cheat meal or a high carb meal. Okay, some things you always want to remember, okay? Drink through a straw to protect your teeth. If you really can't stand the taste of it, right? Anything like medicine, we want to get it down really quickly. And I do recommend that you drink that tonic quickly. Don't sit there and sip it all morning. It just doesn't work good, right? Any tonic, you have to just take it, like a shot, and just take it. Brush your teeth after drinking it to make sure to protect your tooth enamel. And it's not a miracle worker, but it can help with weight loss efforts. And A big question I get all the time is, can I just take a pill or a gummy? And I know that those things make it easier, and certainly if you're traveling and you want to get something in, it's not going to hurt, but it definitely won't be as effective as taking the liquid and taking it with the warm water. It just is going to get absorbed much easier than something that has to go all the way through your digestive system, especially a gummy, which often has coloring and sugars and all this other stuff. So remember that lifestyle change is key, right? This is just one of those little hacks that we can use and to try to help us to lose weight. So there you have it. Apple cider vinegar can help to control insulin spikes and blood sugar and help to increase your insulin sensitivity. It's a great technique, and try them on and let me know. Did you like it before, during, or after your meals? And let me know how it goes. I hope you got something from this video. Please smash that like button, as it really helps my channel, and comment below and let me know if you have tried apple cider vinegar and what your thoughts are on it. Thank you so much for watching, and stay happy and healthy until next time.